Good morning, Hallowed Haven family. This is After Dawn, the show where we sit down to have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind the Hallowed Haven Studios productions. I'm Bloodied Porcelain, and we're here to talk about Harsh Static, Episode 1, Jingle Jangle Jingle. In this episode, we met four colorful survivors of the Wastes: a strangely well-dressed sharpshooter, a thickly accented doctor, a sweetly accented girl with a gun, and an explosives-loving mechanic with the smartest dog in the Mojave. They had some interesting exchanges, not only with each other, but with the locals, before they met up with a scribe of the Brotherhood of Steel in a set of personalized power armor, who was well past his prime and in no shape to continue his mission to look into a distress beacon that came from one of their vertibirds after their last transmission ended in harsh static. They shored up a bridge, broke into a shack made of car parts, fought some rad roaches, Chanel almost got herself blown up, and they reached the vertibird to fight a bunch of robots attacking a pair of Brotherhood knights. I personally love this session. It felt a lot like a story-invested tutorial in the world, and for someone like me with limited at best experience with the Fallout universe and no experience with the system, it felt comprehensive enough I didn't end up completely lost by the end of it. But my opinion isn't the only one on the show this morning. I'm joined today by Legacy and Termite, the players behind Chanel and Iris. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
So, that was an interesting session. Did you two enjoy yourselves?
I did.
Despite all of the technical issues?
Despite everything going wrong.
Is it really an HHS show, though, if we don't have at least 3 technical issues?
You know, it definitely feels like it's a rare day that we managed to go by without something going wrong.
Yeah, it's not a season premiere without OBS crashing.
Yeah, OBS crashing, Discord crashing, somebody needing to restart their computer. It's all in a day's work.
All in a day's work. All right, so we're going to get into the morning brew segment while our coffee is brewing. I would like to ask both of you, what's your experience with the Fallout game series? Have you played all of them, only some, and how did it go for you?
So for me, my introduction to Fallout was I had played a little bit through Fallout 4, which is the Fallout game that takes place in Massachusetts. And then after that, I was a little bit confused on the system. And then my partner had reintroduced it to me through Fallout New Vegas. He kind of walked me through how to play everything. There were a few times where I actually sat in the HHS Discord and like streamed some of my playthrough. And everybody had a laugh at my expense because when I say life in life recreates art, my character kept blowing up and exploding. So you know, it hit home a little bit on session, but I think that Fallout the game is such like a great story and a great video game just wrapped up.
My experience, similar to Legacy, I started off with Fallout 4, and then I played Fallout 3, which, in my opinion, was a very significant. It's weird talk because we're going backwards in time, so really it's an upgrade from 3 to 4, but going from 4 to 3 was a downgrade for me. But it's fine. And then I recently picked up New Vegas, and it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of weird shit that happens that unfortunately kind of got lost, especially in Fallout 4, which is unfortunate. But overall, I think it's an interesting game series. Never played either of the I never played any of the like earlier ones, but I've heard they're very significantly different from the more recent ones.
Interesting.
Well, I actually think that the first two Fallout games are made by an entirely different company.
Oh yeah,
which
they're
is
they're
why,
under an entirely different studio.
yeah.
And
So
I think they're like top-down action RPGs as opposed to shooters. Or like point and
yeah,
click.
yeah, like the point and click adventures versus the first person shooter games.
Yeah.
But Fallout is the newer Fallout games. 3, New Vegas, and 4. Which why not call New Vegas Fallout 4 and Fallout 4? You know, um,
Because that would make sense, and we can't have that here.
I
Yeah,
mean,
those games
fair,
were published by Bethesda, and Bethesda's not known for making sense.
fair.
All right. So my understanding is that the tabletop game uses the 2d20 system. Have either of you played that before?
Not I've played games where you've had to roll multiple dice in order to, like VTM, a couple of the newer games that Scott's writing, but I've never had to play a game where you were required to roll 2d20 in order to pass a check. It's usually just like a 1d20 system, like Pathfinder, D&D, stuff like that. So it was an interesting take on how to pass and do checks and everything.
Yeah, it's a weird like fusion of, like Pathfinder, D&D, D20 based systems, while also having the like skill thresholds and shit like Call of Cthulhu or other like D100 based systems.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it's 2d20, but you want to roll under the under that number. So like for Chanel's got a barter score of 13, but in order for her to pass a check, she has to roll under a 13.
Also, Legacy, I need you to know that I have never not read your character's name as Channel, like BP did at the top of the episode.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. In my head, I said Chanel, and my brain was like, nah. No, my mouth was like, no. That says Channel.
That says Channel.
Thanks. I hate it.
Okay, so it sounds a little bit counterintuitive to what most players are accustomed to, which is you have to roll high to roll well. And I noticed that you guys also have like a shared pool of, I guess they're like action points that you can spend on various things.
Yeah.
How interesting is it to have like a big shared resource that you guys kind of have to like talk to each other about and check in with each other before you use it?
I think that it invites a new system of play, because as easy as it can be to get those action points back, you got to be kind of like resourceful with how you use them, right? Like I could easily take 3 action points to gain an additional 2 dice on an attack. But that might leave like Termite or a Dariel out in the dust if they need it for their guns. So it's a system where you have to learn how to like share and divide the resources equally, which is something that I actually kind of enjoy. It makes you like really like talk to your party and like strategize.
Yeah, it's also normally in like a lot of systems, I would think that it complicates things a bit too much. Because there's a lot of things you can do, and I have played other systems with similar pools that it does complicate things way too much. But the Fallout system, thankfully, is actually simple enough that it doesn't cause problems. Like it's streamlined enough that you can go through things fairly quickly, even dealing with a bunch of people that have no clue what they're doing because they've never touched the system before session 1.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Okay, I have a couple other questions for you guys. Ulreg has been an SPC on many shows with us before, but I think this is his first time as a PC, isn't it?
For a non one shot, yeah. I think this is his first time.
What's it like having him at the table as a full-blown player? Because as somebody who has run games that he's been an SPC for, he's really invested in those shows. So it makes me curious just how invested he is as a player.
Chaotic.
Very.
Very chaotic. I love Alrig. I do. I absolutely adore the man. But he gets so invested in the stuff that he does that it's like a positive chaotic vibe, which kind of feeds really well into the group that we've got going. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's gonna be real interesting once if some things come.
I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like playing with Adariel at the table? Because we haven't had him on a single show before, but he's kind of followed every show we've done since he joined.
Oh my god, it's fantastic. He's such a good role player, and like doing like scenes with him, it feels like natural. Like it feels like that's what I kind of love about like the four of us. It feels like, and I brought this up at the end of the episode. It feels like the four of us have been playing at a table together for years. Because like we didn't have any of like that awkward like sometimes in like a first session there's like that awkward like air as you're trying to kind of like figure out like how to approach like a role play or like maybe like how to come together as a group. From the very first time that anybody said anything on that stream, everything kind of just like meshed together.
Everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah, and he's such a strong role player, and I'm super excited that he agreed to be a part of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think it's about time that we get into drinking our cups. This section is where I have questions for our players about their characters and the events of the episode. I'm going to start with a question for both of you. I'd like to know what inspired your two characters.
Don't
everybody go at once.
Yes, for me, it's I always like the first companion that I always try to strive to go for if I'm able to. Whenever I do whenever I play Fallout, is dog meat, the puppy companion. So I knew going into that I wanted to have a little dog by my side, but I didn't want to make her the stereotypical German Shepherd that they usually are. So I kind of built her to be like not necessarily like the absolute face of the party, but kind of like a jack of all trades. She can do a little bit of everything, but there are some things that like she definitely leaves to the people who very much do it better than her.
Guns. Sneaking.
Yeah. For her, it's she's a mechanic and she likes to make things explode. Maybe a little bit too much.
My character is very heavily based on how I always play these games. No matter how hard I try not to, I always end up playing sneaky long guns.
Yeah, I understand.
And it works really well in this system. Thankfully, there have been systems where stealth is... Oh, it's handled. But there being things to tailor, like specifically to like characters that want to use stealth is really nice because it means that it's possible to play a character that does stealth as their main thing.
Well, given that it's a Bethesda game, and stealth is always broken in Bethesda games, I would hope that the TTRPG in incarnation would capture that flavor. I'd be really disappointed if they just did away with that as a feature.
Yeah, no, stealth is very broken in Fallout.
Yep.
Oh, I think it's bad in Fallout.
It's worse than some of their other games.
So much worse than Skyrim.
You finally awake.
When Oblivion was like the Elder Scrolls game that was out, I remember getting a character stealth up so high that I could just run through the middle of the street in broad daylight naked and nobody would notice. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. So while I would never expect a TTRPG of any of these settings to go quite that far, I would hope that they would still make stealth really powerful. Legacy, one of our viewers would like to know, what exactly is a baseball grenade, and does Chanel make her own? And how did she come to love them as her primary weapon?
So a baseball grenade is quite literally like what it sounds like. It's a small circular grenade. See, this I make the joke that these questions are going to get me put on the list by the way. But a baseball grenade is like it's the size of a baseball. You pull a pin and it activates, and you only have a couple of seconds to throw it before it goes off. So you throw it, and it does like a radial explosion. She does make her own. She like I said, like she's super into like the demolition. She's got a feat which allows her to not just make her own, but to add extra damage onto whenever she does use explosives. I think that they kind of became her go-to because you can make a baseball grenade fairly easy using like old car parts, old rusted like junk pieces, and they're pretty easy to put together, especially with her repair score being the way that it is. So it's fun, it's quick, and it goes boom and does a lot of damage.
Yeah, and if I can actually jump in on this a bit, typically they are in fact baseballs that have been hollowed out and filled with chemicals so that they explode.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, that's vaguely horrifying.
Yeah.
But fun, I guess, in a weird way.
Hey, they do the job done, and they obviously do it well.
Fun until you fumble and it goes off before you manage to get rid of it.
Just don't do that. Just don't roll badly.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
Yeah.
you just decide not to roll poorly.
Yeah. You turn the roll poor option off for that. Thank you.
Make sure you turn karmic dice rolling off.
Dice rolling off.
Here's a question for both of you, also from one of our listeners. Specifically, Latte wants to know if healing powder really is cocaine.
That's my headcanon.
Yeah, that's my headcanon too.
I think in the book it's technically a healing salve. But yeah, no, it's cocaine.
Yeah, in our universe, you just replace healing with other drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I love that. When that came up in the session, I nearly had my drink go up my nose because I wasn't anticipating that. Hey, Doc, I found this. It might be useful to you. What is it? Drugs. What?
Yeah, it's what makes Nuka-Cola so addictive.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Termite.
Hello.
Where the hell did Iris get Gauss rounds to come into the game with? Like, what kind of connections does she have to be able to just show up with something like that in hand?
So Iris is, as Legacy mentioned earlier, Fallout 4 takes place in Massachusetts. Iris is from the Commonwealth. She used to be a part of the Institute, which is a highly technologically adept and kind of technologically advanced group, and they have a lot of very high-tech stuff, including but not limited to Gauss rifles and EMPs.
So what you're telling me is that it was Iris that caused the harsh static all along.
No, she's running from them.
See, I know you, and I know the kind of characters that you play, and I'm not sure that I believe you because you's a shady bitch.
Okay, well, that's true. Yeah, I can't argue against that. Iris would 100% down a Brotherhood of Steel vertebrate if she had the chance. But she didn't.
She didn't yet.
This time.
Soon.
For both of you, because the Brotherhood of Steel are featuring so heavily in the story so far, are you at all worried about the fact that Dr. Hoffman is a member of the Order? Do you think he's gonna turn out to be a turncoat, maybe? Maybe there's more to all of this than meets the eye?
Well, if it ever comes out that Iris is what she is, yes, I'm very worried.
I don't suppose you want to enlighten us as to what Iris is.
Iris is a synth. So she's technically human? Sort of.
Is a way to put it.
I mean, she's not a robot. She just has a weird chip in her brain that gives her her programming. And a certain phrase, when spoken aloud, will completely wipe her memory. But it's fine. The Brotherhood of Steel doesn't like synths.
Good to know.
They think they're abominations and evil and really hate the Institute. The Brotherhood of Steel does. So, if that comes out, there will be problems.
Interesting. How does Chanel feel about synths and the Brotherhood and all of that, or is she mostly just concerned with getting enough stuff to blow up?
Chanel doesn't know what a synth is. They aren't popular in the slightest in the Mojave. They're a lot more common in the Commonwealth. So it would be a little bit, she would be more confused and like curious as to like how that works, but I don't think she would outright hate synths. Brotherhood of Steel, her whole thing is if you don't try to kill me and blow me up, I'm not going to try to kill you and blow you up, and I've got the grenades, so we can play this game all you want, my friend. I can hit you from a distance and it can hurt.
Yeah, Iris feels very much the same way. Except she doesn't give them a chance. She just really doesn't like them.
Noted. I mean, we saw during the episode how very good both of them are at destroying the things that get in their way. So hopefully secrets stay secret, or, you know, maybe for the entertainment of the audience, they don't. We'll have to see.
Have to wait and see.
Legacy, your animal companion, Maisie, seems pretty comprehensive. Does she have any limits to what she can and can't do, or is she just some sort of like eldritch being born of nuclear fallout?
That's for me to know and for all of you to find out. No, ultimately, Maisie is just a very intelligent dog. You know, she will be able to like go off and like sniff for bombs. She's able to go and bring supplies. But she's got all of the limitations that like a normal dog has. Like she doesn't have thumbs, sadly, yet.
Oh, yet.
She can't speak English yet.
When are you giving Maisie robotic thumbs?
Yeah. That's episode 3. But Chanel stands by what she says, despite the limitations of her just being a dog. She's probably the second smartest person in the Mojave. So
Fun.
Because the standard of intelligence in most of the Mojaves,
Not terribly high, I take it.
not terribly high at all.
Interesting. I like that. Okay. You guys were rolling a lot of natural 20s, but also like build which give you complications, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how nervous were you when you kept seeing complication after complication after complication come up? And how like envious were you that you don't roll like that during things like D&D? Because I've played with both of you and you don't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't roll low. I roll bad.
Yeah. Like I said, having the flip-flop though between the two is so interesting, because usually like you roll a natural 20, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit nerve-wracking when it's just like, oh, I rolled a natural 20. Okay, well, let me open up this book and see what happens to you. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I will say it's nice that there are like fairly outlined things. And unlike in things like D&D, it is possible to succeed while having a complication. Due to the nature of the system, unlike where you're rolling 1d20, and if you, in that case, roll a nat 1, odds are you're going to fail. If you roll a nat 20, odds are you're going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works. They're just extra things in addition to whatever else happens.
So did it make you guys nervous to have complication after complication keep coming up?
Oh, absolutely.
I was less nervous because of the things I was rolling.
That's fair. I'll tell you that I was nervous for you.
Yeah.
For all of you, because y'all kept rolling so many complications, and I was just like, at some point, somebody's just gonna die.
Well, that was literally almost me. Had I not had the armor, I would have had to roll up a new character right after session 1.
Mm-hmm.
How many hit points do you have?
That's a good question. I'm not opening my sheet to answer, but that's a really good question.
Because you shouldn't have less than 8. You
no,
can't
I think
have less than 8.
I have 12, but a bomb went off right in front of me.
Yeah, it only dealt 8 damage.
Yeah. Yes, which would have left me with 4 hit points for our fight.
And then you guys would have run off to fight robots. And that could have only gone well. Chanel with 4 hit points in a robot fight.
Yeah, it would have been fine. It would have been great. It would have been grand. Luckily, we don't have to think of such complications. For now.
Termite, it's awesome to see you in another show as a PC. Tell me, for you, what's it like playing Iris versus playing Piper in Wayfarer?
Piper is much more over the top in certain ways. Mainly in regards to what she can do. She knows she can do it well, and she's proud of it. Like, she will not hesitate to be like, yeah, I did that, and I'd fucking do it again. Whereas with Iris, she does what she does to survive. Like, she's as good at hiding as she is because she has to be. Otherwise, it could very easily mean life or death. So she's more cautious when it comes to proclaiming the things that she can and has done.
I did notice that she's got a certain amount of sarcasm, like most of your characters do.
That is me as a player being unable to stop that.
Because you coming out of the mouth with, well, that's a damn shame. I lost it. I was like, oh my god.
I will say, what that came out in reply to is not what I meant it to be in reply to, but I just fucking rolled with it.
It rolled. It worked out really well where it came out. So I lost it. Okay, I think we're at about the point where we can move on to spilling the tea. This section is freeform with questions tailored towards the WTF moments of the episode, controversies, rumors, hints of love interests, etc. In this section, I invite our guests to ask each other any pressing hard questions they might have, or to ask questions of me as the interviewer. Do either of you have questions for one another?
Who do you think is going to die first in our...
My money is on Dr. Hoffman. If he keeps putting himself out the way he has been, it's probably going to be him.
Fair.
Here's the thing. Mojave doesn't like the Brotherhood of Steel.
No. They do not. Not at all.
I mean, based purely on what we've seen so far, I'm almost convinced it's going to be Chanel, but not because of anything in particular. I think Legacy's just going to roll poorly at some point and blow herself up.
And just blow herself up. Yeah, that is the other alternative.
With how I roll, I wouldn't be surprised either. Whatever.
I think Carter is the most likely to survive everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And that suit will somehow still be pristine at the end of it. Because he just strikes me as that kind of character.
Fine, I can fix that.
You're gonna muck up his suit? Is that what you're saying?
I can fix him.
Listen, many a woman has gone down the wrong path with those words. So.
Yes, but my intent with those words is gun.
Well, we saw that he can take a bit of a beating. Those clothes can take a bit of a beating because it's all synth weave.
Mm-hmm.
He's an excellent tailor.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when. To be fair, robots can typically take a bit of a beating too. But Iris ignores all of their armor.
Yeah, so does Chanel.
Why does it seem like Iris already wants to kill everybody? I don't understand.
Oh, the only person she has it out for right now are the two Brotherhood of Steel Knights. She's still iffy on the Doctor because he's weirdly invested in the Brotherhood of Steel members they've met so far.
Right. She doesn't know what he is yet.
Yeah. So she's cautious. But the joke I made when the stream wasn't cut when we wanted it to be about Iris shooting the Knights is unironically something I considered doing if they weren't so far away when we started that combat.
How is it for once I'm playing the normal person?
I feel like normal is a strong word.
Normal compared to the other three.
Again, normal is a strong word. I don't think... so far, I feel like Carter is the most normal.
So far, he also gets all of his knowledge of history from movies.
That's true.
Which, hasn't really come up yet.
No.
So far, it's worked out for him.
Yeah.
I can't wait until one day he asks about the big gorilla.
The problem is, we're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where shit is mutated out the ass. There might be a big gorilla.
There might be.
There just
That's
might.
very fair. Well,
Oh,
there's a good
Carter.
question. What do you guys want to see Fallout mutation versions of? We've already seen rad roaches. What do you guys think it would be the most fun to run into?
I think I've made the joke of I can't wait for us to run into the rad scorpions. Those are going to be fun.
Yeah, running into the rad scorpions is going to be interesting for Iris, at least.
Yep.
I would like to run into some super mutants that don't try to immediately kill us, because they're very interesting.
I would love to know more as somebody who's not familiar.
So super mutants are very dumb. Think like ogres from like most media, like fantasy media.
Yeah.
Oh, they're your biggin, but not as cute.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just, heavily mutated. And typically very hostile.
Very hostile.
But sometimes they aren't.
I really hope that we get to go into one of the vault. I would love to explore a vault, especially seeing as we have a vault dweller in our little group of misfits.
I think we technically have two. I think it's Dr. Hoffman that's a former vault dweller.
Oh yeah. He's I think
mentioned
so
it a couple times.
Chanel has never been inside of a vault, so that getting to explore one and getting to see what she can snag and repair would be interesting for her.
Iris has probably existed for about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you get grown in a lab.
Locally sourced, locally made.
Our locally sourced synths.
Iris is a petri dish baby.
Yes.
I love that for her.
She is simultaneously completely organic and very artificial.
Any other questions?
I don't have anything.
I don't think I have anything either.
Okay. I did not write down nearly as many questions for this segment because I thought you guys would have more questions. Go figure.
Yeah, that's usually how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Transitioning from a full-length game at HHS, which is usually 8 to 10 episodes, down to 4. Like, does that make a difference in how you guys decide to like build your characters? How you think about like developing them because you have so much less time, or do you just make someone and go, well, we'll see what happens?
I generally, for shorter things, have much less of an idea where I want to go.
Yeah.
Because, there's less time for progression, so there's less plans for progression. So I generally build my characters to be like competent with very little of your typical room for improvement, being bad at some things that they would eventually be good at. Because while that does make for interesting character development in longer running things, there just isn't time in a miniseries like this.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite though. I very much am depending on how old my character is, they wouldn't know a whole lot, or they would know maybe just enough. Especially in a system like this where relatively speaking, my character only knows like bartering for parts, building, and exploding things. So giving her a more like a broad like selection of like skills and stuff, I felt like almost didn't make a whole lot of sense. I like the idea of like playing somebody who's a bit more established in what she's already done, because that would make sense from a story perspective. And if we ever decide to use these characters again for anything else, and then maybe later on down the line, she might spec into other things. It's also a little bit interesting because the Fallout system, Saul's doing milestone for us. We don't get XP. So any improvement has to be because we hit specific story beats, which is interesting for a 4-part miniseries.
Yeah. And I will say,
it seems like that could be almost a little prohibitive in the amount of experience that you get, so you don't get to grow as much as you might necessarily think you would.
Well, yeah. Fallout as a system can use XP, but I think he's using milestone because it allows us to build up a little bit faster,
and it's just easier to track.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's also worth noting, for what Legacy talked about, our characters come from very different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for her character to be, good at what she's good at and not great at other things. Whereas my character has a very broad skill set. Just because, she was grown in a lab and basically told what she was going to be and what she was going to do from the time she started existing.
Right, she's purpose built.
Yeah. And that purpose just so happened to be integration. So she has to be good at like integration and survival. So she has to be, good at. She's decently skilled at talking to people. But she's also got, stealth and the ability to shoot good and the ability to repair her own equipment. Just because that is what she needed to be what she was built to be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as somebody who has played a few characters now that were effectively purpose built, created in a lab or via magic or whatever, it's always interesting having to like go, okay, well, this is the purpose that this character was meant to serve when they were made. So how do I build to that? Mm-hmm. And make sure that they can do the things that they need to be able to do and that they're not too dependent on others, but are also able to function around others. That's always really fun, from my perspective anyway. And I love that Chanel has that air of somebody who is established as far as what she does, but she comes across as fairly young. You know what I mean? Kind of like, I'm good at the things that I'm good at, but I'm still very new and learning about the wider world. I love that about her. She has a kind of bright-eyedness that I don't think most people would expect in a setting like Fallout. I think most people would expect most of the characters that they come across to either be crazy or incredibly jaded, or both. So it's fun watching Chanel be this character who kind of, despite just the shit that she's grown up around, get to be a little bit more happy and excited about things.
The way that I built her too, when I was like kind of like just when I was going in more depth with what her personality is, Chanel is one of the more well-known people, especially in the area that we started off in the Mojave, around like the trading posts and everything. So she tries to be like a little bit of happiness, because if she isn't, the Mojave's a scary place. She was blessed with the ability to repair and build. So knowing that like she can help people both mentally and physically, especially with her dog, that kind of makes her more willing to be kind of like that little like happy-go-lucky. Most of these people I've seen me growing up, I'm still probably a kid in a lot of their eyes, so I'm gonna keep that positivity that a lot of kids have, because God, if I don't, some of these people are gonna be very depressed.
Makes sense. I like that. I like kind of sweet and happy-go-lucky characters like that. They're fun. And I feel like they fit in weirdly well in a setting, especially because the way that my limited experience with Fallout is that it presents this kind of drab and desolate, fucked up world, but it does it through the lens of something fairly comedic a lot of the time. Like, it's not oppressive about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think having a character that's a little bit more lighthearted and happy and kind of the spot of sunshine in the party fits really well. Not to mention, she's got a really cute dog.
Got a really cute dog. It's the second smartest person in the Mojave.
The smartest dog in the Mojave.
Yeah.
Which is admittedly an even lower bar. But,
yes.
But, we take what we can get, right?
Yeah. There was one line that I said that it was, now mind you, it was a slip of the tongue, because my mouth likes to try to like think for itself. Where we were talking, and I forget what the actual context of the conversation was. But all I said was, yeah, Maisie's the second smartest person in the Mojave, and I am the fourth smarterest person in the
I believe the context was it was shortly after you'd blown yourself up.
Yeah, right.
And you said something about being the fourth most smartest person in the Mojave.
Yeah.
To back up what you had said earlier.
Yep. I am the fourth most smartest person. And then that was Legacy having a slip of the tongue moment. I'm like, I'm just gonna roll with it.
Oh, but it was so perfect though. Oh, I love that. I love everything about that. I noticed that out of all of the members of the party, Termite, that Iris is definitely the most quiet, and the least like open about anything. Is that purely because she's in like survival mode, or is it because the doctor's being a little too open to the Brotherhood of Steel and that you guys are working on a Brotherhood of Steel job? Like,
it is entirely because she's in survival mode, and also because, while she is skilled at talking to people, she is not good at talking to people. She has a charisma of 4, which is not good.
that doesn't sound good.
It's I think technically it's 4 to 10. 4 being the lowest you can have. A player character.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's not good at dealing with people.
It's like, I'll just stand over here and be ready to be stealthy and shoot things.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, she is And also, she, like I said, she's from Massachusetts.
Therefore, she automatically takes the charisma penalty.
Well, no, I was saying that she had to trek across the entirety of the United States, almost, to get to the Mojave Desert.
And now she's here and faced with the Brotherhood of Steel, who don't like people like her.
Yeah. So she is very much still in survival mode just from that trek alone.
Mm-hmm.
Makes complete sense to me. Well, if neither of you two have any more questions, I think we can probably wrap it up there.
All right.
All right.
Hey, thank you for listening. These episodes are dropped Thursdays at noon on our Patreon at the $5 and higher tier, and they're released to the public 1 month later. So think about subscribing so you can keep up to date with your talk news for Hallowed Haven Studios. Bye-bye.
Bye.